My name is Jamila Lima Pandolfo, and I'm here today because I would like to share with you all my dad's story. So my dad, he is the cool dad. He was my first love. I was very in love for my dad since I was a very young. He was like my friend. We would travel together from the capital, the place we lived, to the hometown, and I would just go with him singing in the car, and it was just so easy to be with him always. He's such a positive person, but not in a superficial way. He's so positive, very resilient. I barely saw my dad sad, even when he had all the reasons to not be strong. He was strong, you know. And my dad was the dad that you could always count on for everything. My friends loved my dad, and he was always just so fun to be around. He's amazing. He was always amazing dad. Yeah. That's my dad. I was living in the United States, and then my mom took him to the doctor. He did some tests, and then the doctor diagnosed that he was with ALS. And I remember my mom telling me over the phone that day, saying that the doctor said, well, you have ALS and there is no cure for this disease. You probably have 3 years for you to live. And my dad, always so strong, they left the office. My mom was crying, and he hugged my mom and said, everything is gonna be okay. Everything is gonna be okay. My mom was saying, how am I going to live without you? How am I going to live without the love of my life? When I got back home and I saw my dad, it was a mix of being so happy to see him and at the same time so sad to see how much he had changed. He had lost already probably 40 to 50 pounds. He was so much thinner. His voice was already so different. He had a lot of difficulty speaking. And the same week I got there, my dad had to do the surgery to start being fed by the tube. And that was just the beginning of many changes that were going to happen. Many times I would see my dad and I couldn't just believe that such a strong and a healthy man was now sick, and that sick, you know. We had so many moments that were really, really tough. Times where I would be with him for the whole night and he wouldn't stop coughing and spitting, and so many times he put so much effort to do this that he would shake and he would tell me, just go to sleep, you don't have to stay here, just go to sleep. But I just couldn't, you know. How would I leave him? Months after, one time he would start to choke in his own saliva, and then his doctor called and said, I think now he has to receive the tracheotomy. And that was so devastating for him for us, it was so hard. We ended up staying 1 month in the hospital during that time because there was a whole process of adaptation that he needed to go through, and we ended up spending Christmas at the hospital, and like we can't just spend Christmas like this. And so I went home and I got all the Christmas decoration that we had in the house. So I decorated the whole room, and one of his friends came, our family was there, and that was our Christmas. You know, we spent that Christmas with him in the hospital, in the room of the hospital. So when Matthew asked me to marry him, I think almost instantaneously I was thinking, I want to have my dad at the wedding. The church I chose was the closest at the house possible. I contacted all the doctors and nurses and everything to secure him that he would be safe at the wedding, and until the week of the wedding, that I realized that he couldn't because his immune system was already so fragile. That was so devastating to me. And of course, when a daughter thinks about getting married, like, the only man that she wants to take her to the altar is your father. And it was so hard not to have my dad at that moment. It's funny because on the day of the wedding, I was so happy that I was getting married to the man I love, that the joy really overcame all the pain, all the suffering that I was feeling during those times of preparation. Right after the ceremony, we went to my parents' house and we stayed there with my dad. We took pictures with him. We prayed for him. We prayed together. The priest was there with us as well, our family. And it was wonderful to have the opportunity to share that moment with him. I don't know how many times I have dreamed with my dad. Really, a dream, like while I'm sleeping, talking to my dad getting healed. Numerous times that happened. It's hard to accept, you know. Really hard to think that I am losing my dad. So I guess I would say you are the greatest testimony of resilience that I know my whole life. No. I dream multiple times. Hearing my dad's voice. It has been now 3 years that I don't hear his voice. Three years that he took the tracheotomy and we couldn't hear his voice anymore. I felt and I feel so tired, you know? You can't do anything to change the disease, you know? It's awful to see someone that you love so much and you can't do anything to change that. So my mom always saw in my dad the love of her life. They have been married for 46 years. her life became completely my dad's life, you know? Her strength has been God.
Oh, casal apaixonado.
My dad, he's so courageous. He's so courageous.